So one team I've kept an eye on as of late is the Washington Wizards, and I've wanted to make a video on them, but I wasn't too sure of how the video would do this week and if people would care about the Wizards. And even though I'm still not too sure of how this video will do in terms of likes and views, I still think it's a good time to talk about this Wizards team and why they're playing so great as of late, as well as why this team looks like they have the ability to win in this year's NBA play-in tournament 3 weeks from now. What's up guys, SCJ here, and if you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot, and if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. So last night, the Washington Wizards got a blowout win against the young but struggling OKC Thunder in Oklahoma City, as they would beat them by 20 points and a final score of 129-109. This was just Russell Westbrook's second game of his career playing as a member of the visiting team in Chesapeake Energy Arena in OKC, and his second return to the city, he did what many Thunder fans remember him doing on a consistent basis while he was a member of their favorite team, as Westbrook would finish the night with a triple-double, as he not only scored a game-high and team-high 37 points on 60% shooting, but he also grabbed 11 rebounds and dished out 11 assists on the night as well. As of late, performances from Westbrook like we saw last night are very typical from him, as Westbrook has dropped 10 triple-doubles in the Wizards' last 11 games and was just one assist shy of a triple-double in that game where he didn't finish with one, so the man nearly dropped a triple-double in every single one of the Wizards' last 11 games. That's pretty crazy stuff, and for all of the NBA fans that'll say, oh, well, he's just stat padding as usual, I would be able to understand if he did this while the team was performing like they did in the beginning of the season, but the Wizards have gone 9-2 over this 11-game span, where Westbrook has racked up all of these triple-doubles. Westbrook has also been playing efficient and very good basketball over the last 11 games, as he's averaged 22.5 points on 46% shooting from the field, along with nearly 14 rebounds, as he's come in with 13.9 and 12.5 assists, as well as 1.5 steals per game. He's also averaged a very good plus-minus rating of 6.2 per game. So I'm not too sure if that's necessarily stat padding, at least not in my book. Overall in the season though, it's not like Westbrook is playing bad and just picking things up now, as he's averaged 21.9 points on 44% shooting from the field this season, as well as career highs in both rebounds and assists, as he's tied his rebound total from the 18-19 season with 11.1 rebounds per game, and a new career high in assists, as he's averaged 10.9 per game. So this has been a very solid season from Westbrook, to say the least, and it's really gone under the wire in my eyes, as he hasn't really gotten much attention for how well he's played since he's arrived in Washington. It's not as if Bradley Beal isn't doing enough for the Wizards also though, as he has been leading the NBA in points per game up until last night, where Steph Curry took that top spot over from him. But nevertheless, Beal is still playing tremendous basketball this season, coming in with averages of 31.1 points per game on a very good 48% shooting from the field, as well as 4.8 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and 1.7 steals per game on the year. So this Wizards backcourt can be deadly if they're locked in, and the fact that they're averaging close to 55 points together alone shows that these guys have really been doing it all for the Wizards this season. This Wizards team has averaged the 9th most points per game on the 12th best field goal percentage this season, but now over this recent stretch, they've really gone on a tear, as they've averaged over 5 more points per game over their last 10 games, and done that on the highest field goal percentage in the entire NBA. Even though it's only been a small stretch of games, that still is very impressive, and that team has also averaged the 4th most rebounds and the 8th most assists over this recent stretch. Also, with the fact that Westbrook's plus-minus average has been very good lately, it shouldn't surprise you that the Wizards have had the 4th best plus-minus average of all teams over their last 10 games. Now, the only area where the Wizards have held their opponents in the bottom 10 for the least amount of a stat on the season is assists, but over their last 10 games, they've really stepped up their defense, as they forced their opponents to be a top 10 worst team in worst field goal percentage, three-point percentage, rebounds per game, assists per game, and turnovers per game. Now, one area they still have been suspect in is the fact that they've given up the 13th most points per game over this stretch. So while they've hurt their opponents elsewhere, they're still allowing them to score, and honestly, that's all their opponents should care about on the offensive side of the ball at the end of the day. Now, overall in the season, the Wizards have had the 14th worst defensive rating on the year, but over this recent stretch, they've actually had the second best defensive rating in the league, only behind the Golden State Warriors by 0.4 points, and that Warriors team has been locked in lately as they have had a record of 7-2 and beaten some very good teams like the Denver Nuggets twice and the Philadelphia 76ers. The Warriors, though, have also lost to this Wizards team twice, so take from that what you will. But back to the Wizards defense, though, despite the fact that they've held the second best defensive rating over their last 10 games, they haven't held their opponents to the 10th least amount of points in any of their respective defensive categories, which is something I don't think I've ever seen happen when looking at a team in over my 20 years of being an NBA fan. Nevertheless, though, this team has played well enough on defense to have a better defensive rating than 28 other teams in the league as of late, so I'm really not too sure if they're too mad at that whatsoever. Now, the Wizards have really looked locked in like I've showed you throughout this video as of late, and they've also now won 7 straight games after the team's win last night in Oklahoma City, but over their last 11 games where they've gone 9-2, and also over this current 7-game winning streak, their competition hasn't been too great. In their last 11 games, they've only played 2 teams in the top 8 seeds of their conference, and those teams were the Phoenix Suns and the Utah Jazz, and the Wizards went 1-1 against those teams as they got blown out by the Suns on Saturday, April 10th, but then beat the Utah Jazz that following Monday night. But I will say, the Jazz were without Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, and Ersan Ilyasova in the game where the Wizards beat them. So it's tough to really assess that win for this Wizards team and how they might look going forward after that game. Now, what I will say overall is this season the Wizards have had the 15th toughest schedule in the league, so exactly middle of the way in terms of hardest or easiest schedules in the NBA. So this team has had a schedule that has been middle of the way, yet they really did struggle in the first half of this season as they entered the All-Star break with a record of 14-20, and even after the All-Star break and before this winning streak, they had a terrible record of just 19-33. So they were 14 games under 500. So even though they haven't played more than just 2 teams during this winning streak who would hold one of the typical 8 seeds or playoff spots without the play-in tournament like we're seeing this year, this team really did have their own problems just handling their business against teams that are on the same level as them or teams that are worse than them. So this recent hot streak from them is actually impressive regardless. The team has also beaten their opponents by an average margin of 10.7 points per game over this recent run, which is very good, especially when you played multiple extremely close games. It's also important to note that the Wizards didn't have Bradley Beal in the team's loss to the Phoenix Suns, and if they did have him and managed to win that game, not only would that have been a huge win for the Wizards, but they'd also have now won 10 straight games rather than the current 7-game winning streak that they hold. They did lose that game by 28 points though, so even though Beal has averaged 31 points per game, I don't want to assume or sound like I'm saying if he played and dropped his typical average of 31 points, they would have won that game by 3 points or something like that. Now, the Wizards are currently 1 full game ahead of the Chicago Bulls for the final play-in spot this season, and the Bulls won't have their star and best player, Zach LaVine, for a huge chunk of this final stretch of the season, as he's out indefinitely due to the NBA's health and safety protocols. The Wizards also have the 10th easiest remaining schedule in the entire NBA as well. So while there is still 3 weeks left of the season and anything can happen, the Wizards are in prime position to end up with one of the 4 spots in the 2021 NBA play-in tournament, and they have a very good shot at winning in their games in the 2021 play-in tournament as well. One of the reasons I truly believe that is not only the fact that the team has gotten solid play from Rui Hachimura, Davis Bertans, and Thomas Bryant this season, but it's really been about the play of the Wizards' newest pickup, Daniel Gafford. The second-year big man never really found his footing and his role with the Chicago Bulls in his 74 games that he played with the team, but ever since he's arrived in Washington following a 3-team trade with the Bulls, Celtics, and of course the Wizards during the trade deadline, he's really found success. Gafford has been a huge reason for the Wizards' recent success as he's averaged 11.2 points per game on 65% field goal percentage, as well as 6.2 rebounds and a monstrous 2 blocks per game in the small minutes per game total that he's gotten since arriving in Washington of just 17.6 minutes per game. So while Gafford isn't a star, or maybe not even the Wizards' fourth best player, this guy can really play, and he's honestly played a huge role in Washington with the Wizards during their recent win streak, as the team has had a record of 9-1 in the 10 games that Gafford has played as a member of the team. So the physicality down low of Gafford next to Thomas Bryant and Westbrook really locking in lately have really seemed to be the reason for this Wizards winning streak. And if this team can really start to figure things out, and this simply isn't just them being hot over this recent win streak, and also if this is the fact that Gafford has brought this Wizards team what they've been missing out on, then this Wizards team really might be a lock to win their series in the 2021 play-in tournament, and they very well might be a tough out in the first round for whoever they face in the 2021 NBA playoffs. Anyway though guys, I want to know what you guys think about the Wizards' level of play lately, their backcourt's level of play on the season or as of late, or anything having to do with the team down below in the comment section. Like mentioned before though, if you like this video then make sure to give it a like as it helps out a lot, and if you're new to the channel and or enjoy the NBA, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell, that way you stay up to date with my newest content. Anyway though guys, I'm SCJ and I am out. Peace.